Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second episode of The Flank. I am Big Black Rainbows, team captain, manager of Solar Phoenix. Alongside me today is the usual Tommy2Time, duo creator, and current mid laner for Primal Radiance. And for the second episode, we are joined by a special guest today, the jungler for Zero Risk, Potato Fist 101. He was the
Hello.
most voted player, and he is joining us. So sorry to cut you off, but how you doing there, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this being the second episode, we're gonna have a lot more to talk about. We have a lot more games to cover. We have a lot of roster changes that are happening and a lot of excitement to get to. So let's just jump right in. So as I mentioned, we do have Potato Fist, or as we're gonna call him for ease of access, Nick. Why don't you give us a little bit of info about your team?
Okay, my team actually was kind of thrown together a few days before the league started. I had played with our top laner and our support right now before on teams before. Never in the like high gold tier leagues and things like that. So it was kind of wonky finding the rest of the people. We didn't have an ADC till like the day before final signups. Our ADC is absolutely insane too for our bracket. So
That's
that happened
KTN,
to work
right?
out. Yeah,
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 he's pretty nutty. I watched him
yeah.
during the exhibition game. He was pretty nuts.
Yeah, he's usually the carry point for our team. But we ended up finding the league through I think it was a link on Reddit or something like that. We had just come across it looking for leagues to play in. But yeah.
Nice. So you mentioned your team was just sort of thrown together.
hmm
Um, but one of the things I sort of credited you guys for was your coordination. And the reason I say that is the game that sort of sticks in my mind about you guys was the on-stream game. You played Hecarim, your top laner played Shen, and basically whenever the Shen ulti was off cooldown, he was just ulting on top of you, and you guys were running around the map and just causing chaos. And you basically busted the doors wide open and won the game really convincingly. So it's kind of it's kind of surprising to me that you say your team is thrown together, but I feel like you have better coordination than a lot of the teams do in the IBSG. What do you think about that?
I think that just comes down to most of the people on our team are really willing to listen.
Okay.
You know, our top laner is very vocal. I'm vocal, and that's really about it. KTN doesn't really talk super much. The
Most
mid
80
doesn't
carries
talk
don't.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning that now, but so they just listen and respond amazingly. I couldn't ask for a better roster for that though.
So, since you are part of the IBSG, and I mean, I know we're only in week two, but has any other team shown up on your radar yet, or has any other team surprised you more than you'd like to admit?
Um, yeah, Pawn Sacrifice Blue actually. We didn't have our roster fully there, and we had to panic and find somebody to fill. But they're definitely a solid team, like top two at most or at worst.
Okay, all right. Um, so how you said this is your first season in duo? How do you feel about the community, or how do you feel about some of the people not playing in the league? You know, like I don't know if you ever check out the general chat, but there's pretty much always conversation going on. How do you feel about that?
Most of the people in there, it can be kind of toxic, but it is pretty. It's funny to watch a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the community is extremely helpful for when I first started trying to figure all the teams out and all that, getting signed up. Um, Mostly just it's pretty easy to get into compared to other leagues at least.
100%, I can agree with that. BBR, you have any more questions or?
I actually have a couple of questions. So this is directed more towards you yourself, but if you want to expand on it to your team, that's fine as well. Is this your first formal competitive five format for yourself?
For myself, no. This is the second one I've ever played in.
Okay, okay. And so with it being your second, I assume you're like pretty comfortable. Do you still get those butterflies here and there, or how are you feeling going into like games and whatnot?
The first league I played in, there wasn't a single close match. Our team was just way better than any other ones in the bracket. So that kind of glided into this one, but I had taken like a 3 month hiatus from the game. So getting back into it and everything, initially, yeah, it was rough, but I've kind of grown to get more used to it now.
Okay. Well, that's kind of all the questions I have for you at this time. Is there anything else that you'd like to kind of throw out there? Maybe give a little shade while you're kind of featured for the moment.
Actually, yeah, the team we're having to replay.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
They did not make that easy to get the game started and everything.
Which
And,
team is this?
Oh my gosh. Shoot, what's
This
the name?
is Glacial Academy.
Yes.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Whole
Yes.
issue starting the game. I am so excited to replay that match. We've had to mess around our mid lane roster, but I am so confident this game will not be close next time. Like, oh my gosh.
Those are fighting words. Alrighty.
I love it.
No,
Yes.
trust me, we live for some flame, you know, like this is your first season in duo, but like all of last season, like not a single punishment, not a single shame, nothing like that. Everyone was pretty humble, but I was saying even on the last episode, you know, I want someone to step out, you know, like take shots, fire shots and like don't hold back. I want some toxic. I want some storylines, you know. So
Yes.
you know, on the topic of like teams you've played, I know you. I don't think have you played Aether in your group yet?
No.
Okay, so currently they're sitting at 0-5, and
Well, I know where you're going with this.
I was just gonna ask like what I don't know if you've watched their games, if you've seen their results or stuff like that, but for you to tell me that you have a new team minus 2 of your players and like you're already performing decently well, what do you think is causing a team to go 0-5 in the first 2 weeks, by the way? Like that just seems kind of absurd to me. Is it just, do you think like player difference? Do you think they're just actually garbage or what?
I think I played on, what was it? I tried to try for a team a while back, and I assume it's similar to this, what's happening with them. They have okay players.
Mhm.
They're not, my assumption is they're not coordinated enough, and they don't talk out of playing the games. So they could be practicing something, and they're not going to be vocal about it. So,
Okay.
but to go 0-5s, meaning there's a gap there in players too.
Okay. Interesting. So so yeah, this is Nick Potato Fist 101 for Zero Risk Gaming, the jungler. So we're gonna take a jump into our first topic of the flank, which is going to be the new team apostrophe S for Duo Esports. Last week we had Primal Hex and Ithaca College for the IBSG. Ithaca College, I guess, either didn't read the rules or snuck by the moderators and had all of their players were gold, but they were platinum in the previous season, which makes them ineligible for IBSG. So that team was refunded and removed from the competition. And within a few days, a new team known as Dynasty Esports Dauntless taking their place. So all of the matches that Ithaca College were forfeited, I guess, have to be replayed. So Nick, you are in the IBSG. I know we've mentioned that several times now. But have you seen anything about this team? Has anything stood out to you? What do you think about them?
Actually, I've talked to the coach or captain of that team pretty thoroughly a little bit the last few days. We've actually played them tomorrow.
Okay.
Our ADC played with them a while back on a team and everything, so we know a lot of in-depth stuff from that. But they really do seem like a solid roster and everything like that. I don't know if they're going to be a top-tier team though.
Interesting. So you say you talked with them. Is there any concern for your game with them, or do you think you guys are going to be prepared?
I think it'll be a good game. I don't think it's going to be one-sided either way.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So
well, he's gonna say it's a good
you know,
game, and then just do like the scoreline at the end of the game is gonna be like 17-1 in favor of them. He's like, yeah, it was a close
game. Okay, so on top of that, we actually had Primal Hex drop out from the GPCS, and we had a team known as Eyes on Us Twilight take over. Unfortunately, as of today, being August 27th, 27th, yeah. I was informed that they were removed from the GPCS. I'm not sure why, if they left, if they didn't want to play in it, whatever. So there's actually a hole in the GPCS, in the Baron division or Dragon division. I don't know. I don't remember.
Baron seems
I think
right.
it's Baron. I think it's
so.
Baron.
Yeah.
So anybody watching, if you know a GPCS team, gold, plat, not diamond in the past season, and feel like entering, I'm sure Dota can get you in for a discounted price. So that's the new teams. This was something that we actually talked about on the tower dive that I recorded just before this. But Nick, who do you feel are the top 3 teams in IBSG?
Oh, that's easy. There's a huge gap from top tier to middle. I think my team's pushing middle up to top, but I don't think we're top right now.
Okay.
It's definitely Pawn Sacrifice Blue. I know Red was hyped up a lot. We've yet to play them or anything, so I can't really say much about them. I know Divine is pretty good, and the Rift Arc Knights are really good from just games I've seen.
Okay. Now, who do you think would be your biggest competition if you were to play? Say you were to play each of them, or you had to face any of them in playoffs. Who do you think would be the hardest matchup?
The one with like the least misplays constantly is, I want to say the team we probably haven't played yet, but I've seen their games, is Rift Arc Knights.
Mm-hmm.
I think they definitely would be the hardest game. Their average players are pretty good.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's enough about the teams. I guess we can hop into the next segment, BBR, if you want to take over.
Sure. Yeah. So, we had, like I mentioned earlier, we had a lot of games. We had a full set of on-stream games on Friday and Saturday, and we had a lot of notable, or not a lot, but a couple notable off-stream games that we're going to mention. And for that, let's get our other special guest to join us. As well as Potato Fist, we are having Villain in Glasses, the previous season top laner for Pawn Sacrifice White, and current starting ADC for Solar Eclipse, which we will get to later, actually. He will explain that in more depth. He's been a very important member of Duo for at least 4 seasons, maybe 3, I'm not exactly sure.
I think it was 4.
4?
I think it was
okay.
4.
Yep. And he should be joining us here shortly.
So while we wait for him, I know, Nick, you mentioned that you don't have a lot of insight on the GPCS games. So how about you mentioned you played an off-stream game, and who was that up against this weekend?
Against Glacial Esports.
Glacial Esports, and the one you have to replay, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you said there was just issues starting the game. So, Villain, here he is. Welcome.
Hi, that is me.
Hello there.
So this is Villain in Glasses, starting AD carry for Solar Phoenix now, after riding the bench for the first 2 weeks. Did I say Phoenix or say Eclipse?
Yeah, you said Phoenix.
I meant Eclipse.
No.
Okay, after starting AD carry for Solar Eclipse after riding the bench for 2 weeks and playing top lane in the exhibition match after swearing to never play top lane again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
So how you doing,
All
man?
right.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be back in my primary role. Glad to bring back the an old classic, and excited for this weekend. It should be interesting.
Definitely
Say
should.
please.
Definitely should. So
Yes.
before you joined, we were talking about some of the matchups that happened over the weekend, some of the on-stream, off-stream games. So first off, we had Galaxy Gaming Dragons versus. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Saturday. So Friday we had DOV Thunder and Solar Eclipse. So this was before your time, but we actually this game I hard flamed Sam Wallace during this game.
Oh, don't worry. So did I.
That game, oh my god! I feel like he was playing and he was missing 3 fingers. Like it, he played Azir. He just was non-existent throughout the entire game. He took Conqueror, which
he got 11 CS per minute, right?
yeah, the Corki got 11 CS per minute.
The Corki got 11 CS a minute,
And
in
then
free lane phase.
Okay, Azir with Conqueror, not bad. Azir with Conqueror rushing a Luden's Echo, pretty fucking bad.
Better question: Azir with Conqueror when you could run Hail of Blades, Lethal Tempo, Electrocute, Comet, which are all better options than Conqueror.
And like, okay, as someone that plays Azir, like Conqueror, it's not a bad rune.
You play Azir?
Like Conqueror's not bad when you're in a lane that allows you, or you have a game state where you can stack Conqueror very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you take Conqueror, you want to be able to stack Conqueror, which you need the attack speed because for those of you that don't know, Azir's soldiers count as abilities and it counts as 2 stacks instead of 1. So you need the attack speed. And if you're building Luden's Echo, sure, you get the poke on your Q, but at that point, you throw your Q in, you poke, and then what? Like, your soldiers' auto attacks do maybe an extra 30 damage, 40 damage, whatever. It's like, it's not a great first item. Second item, debatable. But that game, I messaged BBR afterwards. I was like, bro, you got to do something. Like, I know you're their coach, manager, whatever. I'm like, you got to get this dude off of Azir. Like, he's been doing this Luden's Echo Azir thing since last season, and I've still been saying shit about it. And I just, I don't even remember like who popped off in that game. I just remember how fucking bad Sam Wallace was.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, to touch on things with we can talk about clips now, or we can talk about the games a bit and some of the things going on.
let's talk about
with you
the
guys.
games first, and then
Yeah.
we'll go more in
Talk
depth
about shuffling and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that game was it was well controlled by DOV. I mean, they looked really good coming into the season, having, they beat Solar Phoenix in the show match.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, I was playing top in that game. They look like a actual good team. Then dropped a couple games in week 1. So, I mean, now they're picking up wins again. And obviously their mid laner, very good at CSing, we found out, in a free lane. So, I mean, that's one thing. Fortunate for me, I don't have to play them until the second round robin. So, I got the easy schedule. I got Fight Club this week. But all things considered, yeah, I mean, Sam Wallace didn't have his best game. Definitely more of an assassin type player. Playing the control mages, he seems like he just didn't quite work for him. I don't know if that was the bot lane game where they played either I think it was Cassio bot lane that game, I want to say.
It was the
Ziggs.
It was the Ziggs.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
who, DOV or
us? Eclipse.
the game with the Sam Wallace?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was here.
I thought they played
I'm pretty sure
Ashzillion. Or was it Zigzillion?
I think it was Zigzillion. I think they were playing mages still.
Okay.
Because I think he played mages in both games this week. I might be wrong here.
I'm pretty sure he played Ashzillion, I think.
I'm scrolling up to do my homework real quick.
I know
yeah,
Zillion.
DOV Thunder. Ashzillion, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah.
And Zillion,
so-
I felt really bad because like his scoreline, he ended 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their team scoreline. Bard is 0-0-4 in Swain top. Junglers 1-5, mid laners 0-4, and then 4-4, 0-1 bot. Like, you can't complain about the scorelines from your top laner and your bot half, but obviously just the mid jungle diff kind of got gapped that game, and we saw Yuki ridiculous CS numbers that game.
He had full Muramana, Trinity Force, and Rapid Fire at like 21 minutes. Like,
yeah, in 25 minutes, the end game ended with him having those items and a BF sword. So like, dude was farmed and ready to go, and at that point, there's no way you're ever gonna kill him in the team fight. So,
Yep.
So okay, that's enough ragging on Sam Wallace and Solar Eclipse. We'll talk more about that team in a little bit. So next up, we had Fight Club versus Stunned. Stunned taking the victory. That was where Easy Game, Easy Life played Renekton and pretty much put on a clinic in the top lane. That game, Varric tried his best to carry on Victor. Didn't really have a chance to, though. Elise, Renekton, still a scary threat. Still early game dominant. Wasn't really much they could do. I know legit Sack, he got an early kill. Was that the Smite Ignite game that he played Graves?
That was
no,
not
Flash
the
Smite.
Ignite.
Flash Smite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
For
he
sure,
played.
no.
I know he played that one game, but
It's the off-stream one that you're
okay.
thinking of.
All right.
Yeah.
But
I-
Stunned. What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Fight Club looking good this season. I mean, they're I think 2-1 now. They beat Stunned, who look like they're a really strong team coming in. So
They didn't beat Stunned. They beat Lighthouse.
oh yeah, Fight Club lost to Stunned and then
Yeah.
beat Lighthouse, who is
Was
the
3-0.
overall probably
Yeah.
number 1 of this team. And it's
Yeah.
like, so it's really interesting. This was a week where everybody was beating everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
like we still have to touch on the other division where Crow Gaming both won and lost and won versus like the most ridiculous spread of games I've seen in a while.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And like,
We're
it's-
gonna talk on that a lot. trust
it's insane right now how it feels really tightly contested, even in like Baron and Dragon, where like Dragon felt like the division where it's like, okay, you got your top 2, Solar Phoenix, Pawn Sacrifice Black, and then the rest of the teams, right? Whereas now it's kind of like, okay, Crow's taking games off of Solar Phoenix, but then, loses the games to the bottom seeds, and it's like, who actually is the good teams right now? And it seems like we're still trying to figure that out, especially with
it's only
Baron
week.
being
Two,
kind of
it's only
monstrosity.
week 2.
And it's only week 2,
So,
right?
So I mean,
So like,
It's hard to say because like we have these rosters that are returning. You know, we have Solar Phoenix, we have Solar
But
Eclipse, like we have PSB, but then we have sort of like last season where we had Rift Dragons, we had Solar Phoenix like walking in,
Yeah.
and there are these
It's
like
a lot of unknowns.
it's a lot of unknowns. So it's like
Yep.
we want these teams that we know to perform well, but then we have all these random
Mm-hmm.
factors joining in, and I think it adds to the competition. You know, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's good to see.
It definitely is because I don't. I mean, I don't think anyone would. I don't want to see Pawn Sacrifice go 18-0. You know, like that's just they've had their wins. Okay, they've robbed enough money from Duo. Let another team come in.
I mean, the best anyone can do now is what 17-1
17-1.
because
Actually,
everyone,
no.
everyone's got
MG,
losses. I
no,
thought.
MG Waves is
MG
3-0.
Waves.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next up we had Divine Ascension Gold versus Arknights. Arknights pulling out another classic win in the IBSG. I actually did not get a chance to watch that entire game. I had to scrim at that time, so I don't know if either of you saw it or what's happening, but
Let's see. They played this game, and if I remember correctly, I did cast this game. I think actually.
then you would know.
No,
about it.
I did not cast this game. This is a game I stopped casting. I did watch some of it though. I'm not gonna lie. The Diana pick I thought was gonna be good to kind of counteract what the Zach with the Shen wanted to do, and it just didn't work. Luckily, they had a good team around them. They had Darius, who played his best impression of Amazing Time, or Ali, as he is now called, and did very well. You have the Brand Jin combo, which is very strong, especially with the Brand poke as it gets later in the game, and like you said, Arknights did pull out the victory, but I have to give a big shout out to Lexar in that game. Like he did
Oh,
as much
I
as
saw
he
the match
possibly
history.
could.
Wasn't it like 20-20? Like it was super close or
Yep.
something
Yeah,
like
very
that.
even
Yeah,
game.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I
Bit
thought
of a
yeah.
slugfest.
No,
And the
Lexar's
team that lost got the Dragon Soul. Like,
Hey,
Yep.
that's IBSG for you. Anyway,
could have been
finally,
console.
it could have been. That's fair. So to end the night off, we had Glacial Inferno. Is that the GP team, or is that the
I believe
IB?
Inferno is the
Glacial Inferno versus
Yep.
Solar Phoenix. Solar Phoenix pulling out another win. Didn't even
Mhm.
watch that game because I had a feeling Solar Phoenix was gonna win.
that's most of them. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's like I don't find their games enjoyable to watch because I feel like they're gonna win as soon as the game starts. I just feel
Yeah.
like they're the caliber of their roster at the moment is just like leagues ahead of everyone else.
And that's if Pablo was playing mid lane this
Oh,
week.
okay,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
Like,
So
so this is when they should have been beatable, and then you still have Pablo popping off on Oriana, and Jadway's just picking whatever he wants. You know, I think he played Yone and Akali and like something else this week. That's like
he's
just random.
he just like
he played
doesn't-
Camille.
He
so
doesn't
it's
even
like
have to play Yorick and Fiora. Like I don't know if those are getting banned against him, but I'm like he doesn't
Sometimes,
even
yes,
he
but
doesn't
yeah.
even have to play those because like he's just
Exactly.
that much better of a top laner, and like people don't
Mhm.
know what to do when someone's walking over you. Like you like asking them to stop isn't gonna get them to stop, you
Yep.
know. So
And then when you look at like the other best top laners from last duo season, there's no more Nano,
Mhm.
there's no more Cuddle Buns. I'd argue I was considered up there, and
Mhm.
Amazing Time also isn't playing much, right? Because Pawn Sacrifice Black is all just Master. So you're taking up the other 4 semifinal teams have no top laners in the league anymore. It's literally just Jadway. So it's his best time to separate himself from the pack and really say, okay, I am now the best top laner, and I'm going to make this the best team. And it helps that he's playing out of his mind right now. So
Yeah, like both of you guys said, Jadway, because of the immense champion pool that he has, even if they do ban like Fiora, York, Camille, Yone for whatever instance, he can just
There's always
pull out
another split pusher.
Akali. You can pull out he plays Lilia, like not very well, but he plays it.
I don't know. I saw some Maokai and Malphite too.
Yeah,
in playoffs,
Malphite, like
man out here playing tanks out of nowhere.
yeah, he's pulling a villain impression, but yeah, this is I definitely think his season to shine. Again, we do have a lot of new teams that we don't know much about their top lane, but from what we've seen, I don't think currently there's a top laner that can match him successfully in GPCS. His biggest competition, I think, is actually, I think it was the Lighthouse top laner, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Lighthouse did look pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, it was the Lighthouse top laner. Like, I think he's really solid. His score lines probably aren't the best. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because he's usually put on tank duty. He rarely gets to like free pick whatever he wants. But Damien looks like if he was given the opportunity, given resources, could definitely pull a Jodway and solo carry a game for his team.
Definitely.
I think
So
that's fair.
so that rounds out the Saturday games, or the Friday games. I'm sorry, I keep messing it up. So Saturday, BBR, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, so
breaking those
Saturday,
down.
we had Galaxy Gaming Dragons versus Divine Ascension Platinum, and that game went as you kind of expected, so to speak. Galaxy Gaming Dragons decided to not start their starting
Oh.
support in Waki, and he is now formally off the team,
Mhm.
I believe, is what he
Really?
said to us.
Mhm.
They decided to start the support from last season, which is Apico, I think is how you pronounce it correctly.
Apico, yep.
Yep, and that game just wasn't really close. 2 kills on the side of Galaxy Game Dragons. They just looked outmatched. They got out macroed. They
Yeah.
just
Can I
got
get some F's in the chat for
Can
GGG?
Can I get some
like,
flame right here real quick?
dude.
I want to step in this. I didn't get a chance to talk about this on the cast because I had to bow out to eSub somewhere.
Yep.
But in that draft, Galaxy Gaming Dragons chose not to ban Caitlyn and to first pick Ezreal. Now, for people that don't know how League of Legends works, Caitlyn is probably the best champion in the bot lane right now, and is basically a red side must ban, or you're playing Ashe into it. But when you're on blue side and you choose to ban the Ashe over the Caitlyn, I got a question mark ping that one, because like you're just asking to get Caitlyn Lux, Caitlyn Morg, and just have a miserable time, and they certainly did. I mean, Windblade user has looked like he struggled even when he's gotten his Riven. GGD Major Core, kind of the only good player looking like on that team right now.
That's what I
And
was
that's
gonna
when they had
say.
Walkie playing,
I was
who
gonna
was
say.
a primary shot caller. And don't know what's happening with that team, but I mean they just look a bit lost even from like the draft phase. So I mean credits to Divine Ascension Platinum. They look like they're pretty solid and they know what they're doing in their games. I like Nocturne Shen, Nocturne Galio, Shen Galio. These are really good combinations, and they just pair it with a good Caitlyn bot lane. But I want to see what happens when teams ban more appropriately for the meta, right?
100%.
I have to hard agree. Like you said, they just looked completely lost. And I think the biggest takeaway from that game is even though Waki wasn't starting support, he is very smart in drafting. He's very smart in coaching. He's very smart in general. And because he's no longer part of the team or with the team or however that whole scenario unfolded, that's a like big brain that they lost essentially. So I definitely don't see them doing very good, especially as the season goes on. They may pick up a win here or there against the bottom teams, like maybe I don't know a struggling Fight Club maybe, or even Aether if it gets to that point. But I don't see them finishing as high as expectations were going into the season. So after that game, we had Aether Esports, the GPCS team, or sorry, the IBSG team versus Valkyrie. I said that wrong.
No,
The
it was GPCS. Yep.
Yep, versus Valkyrie, and Valkyrie picking up the win. Actually,
Yeah.
If they didn't, I would have been so annoyed. Like,
Dude, credit to Valkyrie though. Bouncing back, they had 2 of the hardest losses we've seen in a long while, and then they won 2 games in a row against Aether, and then following up against Crow, who was coming off of an extremely high from
exactly.
beating Solar Phoenix.
Yeah,
and
but
like,
they played like a weak Solar Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because Kiri
I mean,
overslept. Like,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And Renekton mid, maybe not my main. But
I'm gonna be honest. I
we'll
didn't
touch
think
on
they
that
did.
in a bit. We'll
Yeah,
touch on that in
we'll
a
get
bit.
to that.
But
We'll get to that game.
let's talk about Valkyrie though, real quick. They did win that game. Hybrid carry, early game Olaf getting all over the map. Vel'Koz getting very far ahead. I mean, Tom Kench top. Sure, you know what? If it works, it works. It's really annoying when it's ahead, really bad from behind. But if it wins you the games, you pick the unique champion.
Yep.
I just can't. We have our game against Aether. We as in Primaries, we have it this weekend off stream. Like, we haven't prepared at all because like we just watching their games is it's so depressing. Like,
it's a bit rough.
Both teams in both leagues are just dog. Like, it's so hard to watch, and like I'm not usually the toxic person, but like holy shit, it's just so hard to watch.
Yeah.
And like Valkyrie, we played them off stream, and it wasn't like an easy game.
Them.
It was from the person like actually playing the game, like it wasn't as close, or it was closer than it should have been.
Mm.
And the only reason we won was because it's like I got 4 or 5 items Corky and like can melt anyone in the game. Like
Corky with ornament, Triforce.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
You can't.
pretty nice.
Sorry, but that game, like Valkyrie, I think is not a terrible team. I definitely don't think they're in the top half of the league though. But like we said, Dragon Division. But which division did I?
They are in Dragon.
I don't even know what division I'm in. Like, there's too many teams.
I know. There's so many teams this year.
Can we just
so many teams, and it's like flip flopped almost from last
We
season.
have 16 teams now, and we don't even know like how the standings are rolling out. Like, it's hard to really tell who's good because everyone's beating everybody except for MG Waves, who are literally beating everybody.
Yeah.
But they still have some hard games ahead. So
I'm actually gonna focus on the Valkyrie versus Aether game. I think Aether is a very big upset, and that's probably not the right word, but I'm gonna stick with it compared to last season. Because last season Aether was taking
disappointment,
games,
I'd say.
or disappointment. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
They were taking games. They were looking decent, and we had high hopes in them, especially with how respected they are and how well they
were a playoff team.
been. Yeah, they were a playoff team. They nearly beat.
I think it was Pawn Sacrifice White with AP Gangplank, but let's not worry about that.
Most damage, by the way. Most damage.
Yeah, and where's the W column? Yeah, okay, we scratched that game 3, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree.
And this season, like, I still think they're winless. If I'm
yes, they're 0-4.
They're 0-4. GPCS is 0-5.
And
or IBSG is 0-5.
I just don't know what to say about them. I really don't.
I mean, brand name doesn't mean everything if you don't have the players to support it. And I mean, these are 5 brand new players to the league for the most part. I think we've seen Hybrid Carry in previous seasons. I could be wrong. I've seen his name around. But I mean, or not Hybrid Carry, that's the wrong team. But like, I'm looking at the wrong match history. But nevertheless, like, I feel like it's a bunch of new players to the league. And I mean, if you're not used to playing with a team, it's hard as it is. And if your team's struggling, it gets harder to actually find ground. And I mean, this was probably their easiest match so far. And even then, they still kind of got ran over by Valkyrie in 23 minutes. So it's like, if you can't beat the easy matches and you can't beat the hard teams, where does that leave you? And I mean, we'll see. Again, only 2 weeks in, maybe they have a big turnaround. Maybe they make some roster moves. But right now, Aether probably looks like the weakest team in the GPCS.
I would argue that even some IBSG teams could beat them, but
maybe GGD is like close to losing to Aether. Like, I want to see the GGD Aether cross conference. That's the real battle.
They should rename that one the IBSG
on the next episode of games
where like
that
all
don't
the teams
matter.
are around. It's that one Simpsons meme where all the people are around holding the money while the monkeys are fighting.
Yeah.
But
that'd be a great.
I can't say much. My team's not in a great spot either right now. So
I mean, you haven't played on it. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, but I can't say we're gonna win if I haven't proven that I can play, right?
Hey, you haven't played AD carry in what, 2 seasons in duo, so.
Well, yeah, in duo, it's been a while. So I'm a legacy player, second best team ever in regular season. So we'll see. But let's keep moving on through the list here.
So the next
we're talking
game,
about a triumph, some redemption here for you, Brain.
Yes. So the next
long-awaited
game of the
revenge
with was Solar Phoenix versus Pawn Sacrifice Black, in which Sheer and Amari both said was the game of the week for several reasons. Pawn Sacrifice Black notably is kind of, or at least they were like trolling or having fun and off-rolling this season, and they still put up a decent fight. Like, don't get me wrong, Pawn Sacrifice is a very good team in their own respect. They still have Sheer, they still have Amari, and then they brought in Zui. And they have Tate Nyusha in the mid lane. But as some expected, that game did go in our favor, and we did pull out the win against them. It wasn't clean by any means. It was, I'd say, in my opinion, relatively close.
It was a fucking fiesta.
It was a fucking fiesta.
But unfortunately, one team had Jodway on Camille, and the other one had Zui on Renekton. So
yeah, so one team had Jodway on top, and the same team had Pablo in mid. And that right there, for most teams, is kind of like...
Pablo had a good week.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, a support player playing mid, and then locks in Diana, which I personally didn't even know.
Yeah, that one I was like, okay, let's see how this goes.
Yeah,
I was like, his Orianna looked really good. He'll pick Orianna here into the Yasuo, and that's a Diana. Okay, he's going in.
He's picking Diana into Renekton it was Trundle, right?
Renekton,
Renekton,
Trundle,
Trundle,
Yasuo. It's all AD.
Chris,
It was all and
fresh.
yeah, like I was just like, this is Oriana like wet dream.
And not building
like,
tabbies. Like
I don't know. But hey, he
I
made it
mean,
work, I guess.
He made it
W's
work.
on the board. That's what matters, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's all that
And in
matters.
a week
the
where
end,
you're playing without your mid laner, that's a big win to get because now you don't have to see them for 6 weeks, and that's probably your hardest opponent out of the way, right?
I
Realistically
would
speaking,
agree.
like there's some other good teams in Dragon Division, but again, it's still those favorite two. I mean, Pawn Sacrifice looking a bit shaky right now,
So
and MG Wave still has to come.
is Manatsu playing this week?
Manatsu is
Yes,
back this weekend.
he was on vacation for this weekend, which is why he wasn't in either of our games.
We play them on Sunday. I was hoping to play Pablo.
You'd probably still lose, Tommy. Let's be honest.
What?
But anyway, bro, I've seen your Swain. Come on, let's be honest.
Okay.
just saying I'm saying, with me not in the calls to help with draft here, Tommy, I won't see them.
All
any
right,
information,
BBR. You know what? You're talking all this shit. Let's throw you in one of these games. Let's see you play something.
Yeah, and I'd
Tommy.
still probably beat you too.
No.
Listen, Tommy. Now that I'm on the sister team, if you need any advice on how to beat these guys,
Yeah,
just
okay.
Yikes!
we can chat a bit later. I mean,
BBR, come get your man.
I mean, they just lost to like a 10 seed last night, so I mean, who knows?
I mean,
You can
okay,
catch him on tilt this week.
Oh, okay.
But
yikes!
last game of the day, it was Dynasty Aether, back to IBSG.
Yeah, Dynasty versus Aether, like Villain said, it is an IBSG matchup. Aether again did not look very good at all.
Dude, who's worse, the IBSG or the GPCS? Honestly, like
Dude,
Well, objectively speaking, they're worse players because they're not as high ranked. But
okay,
well, they did put on a
at
better
least they're picking up. At least
so-
Fridge is on the IBSG team, right? At least they have Fridge.
True.
Who?
Yeah.
By the way, I casted that game. Absolutely ran it down on Silas. Like Epic Dragon was busting his ass trying to win this game on Nunu and just could not carry his team. I mean, Fridge was getting solo killed. He finished the game 0-8-10 on Silas top lane into Alawi, which again, they had a pick into Alawi, and it was Silas, who is terrible at stealing Alawi's ult. I like Silas into Mumu. I think it's okay with Caitlyn and Morgana ults. That's it. Like, there's no benefit to stealing Alawi's ult for Silas, other than, oh wow, my W can proc tentacles exactly one time.
Why don't you just pick like Kennen or something stupid?
Pick something that can scale and farm. You're losing lane anyways. It's Alawi.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I mean, I talked about enough on the cast. I didn't really like Aether's draft as much with the Silas pick, but I think Fridge just needs to go back to what he was best at in the top lane.
Oh,
I mean, either mid lane. I mean, that could have been a Rumble pick there, right? We know Fridge
Rumble would have been really good, honestly.
Into Alawi,
Alawi, he can trade effectively and he can push the wave, and she doesn't get much opportunity to throw her tether out.
I feel like you just get outscaled. Like,
yeah, you're still a better alt bot than Silas is going to be this game, though.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's very true.
And at 2 items, you're still effective. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, or just go back to what he was, known for in the top lane. Things like the Scion, the big tanks. Like, Fridge was usually one of our best performers in IBSG. Had a great year, I'd argue, in GPCS playing mid lane for someone who was an IBSG player. Really impressed me. And now it just seems like he's kind of fallen apart on this back in IBSG when, in theory, this should be a good Aether team, right?
Yeah, I agree.
With Knight, with Fridge, like it should be performing, but it's just not quite all there right now.
Yeah,
but it's not.
I do want to. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just adding on. It's not. Oh. It's garbage. It's hot garbage. Flaming dog doo doo.
Yikes! All right.
I mean, they made the game close. That's all I can appreciate.
Either way, I do want to give some credits to Dynasty Esports with this being their first official game in duo. They did look relatively good. Their mid laner, the Jackson back. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He had a very good scoreline at 11-4.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good.
Syndra, he did fantastic on Syndra. And I expect to see, or I'd hope to see, very good things out of Dynasty going forward. Since they had a decently good showing in their first official match. So that was all the on-stream games, and as I previously mentioned, there are a couple notable off-stream games that I want to focus on for a little bit. One of them being the Solar Phoenix versus Crow game, in which our very own villain got to sub in for the mid lane since Kiri overslept and Pablo had to play support, his main role. And before anything, I do want to shout you out for that. Actually, your Renekton looked very good early. You got the first blood. You were very aggressive. you help the team
Overly
in
so.
the early stages of the game.
Wow,
and-
Renekton early game? Wow.
Wow, I know,
Yeah,
right?
believe it or not, I killed Silas at level 1 because he didn't respect it.
Wow.
I
Yeah, he
pressed
actually
W
did.
2 times and killed him.
Wow. Renekton in lane, Pog.
Yeah.
And then
then it
Tricky
fell
D
apart.
decided to hit level 6 and sit mid lane for the next 50. Like that Fiddlesticks literally followed me around the map and ulted me on cooldown. I was miserable after that point. Still did the most damage in the game. Still had a better KDA than some people on the team. It was a rough one. I think we got a little overconfident.
Dude.
I will say I think the team was a little bit overconfident in draft.
Yep.
Not gonna blame anybody about it. But I think got a little bit cocky, wanted to play some new things, and Crow played a really good game. Eddie definitely is a strong mid laner. Trick was a effective jungler, and the Fiddlesticks definitely something that's hard to play around if you're not used to it. And then the Wukong eventually got back into the game, and we couldn't match it with either the Renekton or the Akali in the side lane. At that point, you're falling too far behind. But
Absolutely.
I mean, we had some moments in that game where he still almost pulled it back, but it was just kind of too far gone past the 15-minute mark there.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself.
Big win for Crow.
And that's what I was going to say. Is it's a very big win for Crow. It's a very good showing with their new mid laner now that account removed is gone. Edia, I think is how you pronounce it, Dylan.
Eddie. I just call him Eddie.
Eddie.
I think it's
Okay.
just Eddie, but
he looked exceptional. He played the Silas. Yes, he did die early, like I mentioned. But after that, once Fiddlesticks got 6, he looked very good. He did a lot of good roaming plays. He stole a lot of crucial ults that really turned the fight for them in their favor. And what do we know, or what do we expect out of Crow now? Because they take a game off of us, they lose the Valkyrie, and then they lost another game.
They beat Aether, and then they lost to Valkyrie.
And they beat Aether. And so
I mean, they got the free win. They beat Solar Phoenix, and then they lost to what is arguably the second worst team in the division in Valkyrie. So it's like, how good are these guys with the new roster? I think Eddie is actually an upgrade over account removed, Smurf or not. I think Trick is hit or miss in the jungle, and then we'll see. Thick Bunny looking good in the top lane, versatile playstyle. Didn't like the build on Malphite, but they were playing Aether, so I mean, what does it matter?
Yeah, you know a lot about Malphite builds, huh, bud?
Yeah, I do. I do know about Malphite. I still killed Nano in that series, I recall, for First Blood.
Oh, I thought I was talking about the AP Malphite mid one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Peanut diving into Shackle boxes all game was really effective.
Dude, yeah. If we could find that Shaco clip of
no, it's gone. It's gone.
It's
gone.
Credit to Peanut. Like, I want to talk about your team a bit, Tommy. You guys are looking pretty good right now. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Like, I've watched a couple of your games because I know most of the people on the roster. Like, me and Nuffies and Coconuts have known each other for a while. I've played with you and Peanut. I played with Coconuts before in the bot lane, actually. So it's like, I know you guys really well. I'm really impressed how you guys are performing. Peanut's really looking comfortable on the Ashe and has been popping off in some of these fights. So
Sniper Peanut.
Yeah, you guys are actually a good team to look out for. I don't know if we'll be able to challenge Solar Phoenix for number 1 or MG Waves for number 2.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but we play them Sunday, and apparently Pablo has to play Shaco support. So,
I do know. And I don't know if that's a benefit or a curse for you.
I don't either, because
I've been looking at his matches.
Dude, it's scary.
W's, baby.
It's scary.
Pablo, I watched a stream game of him after our series in PRO when it was like 2:30 in the morning and he was just fucking exhausted. That guy popped the fuck off. Even though they did lose, like, oh my god, he is so disgusting on Shaco.
I don't know, because okay, I thought it was like a meme thing. I thought him and Painless were just like joking about it, and then I don't even remember what the bet was about. But then
I remember. So they were playing. They were like, "Hey, Painless, I could play a solo queue game with you on my Smurf and guarantee you this win. And if we don't win, you get to pick whatever champion that I play against you guys."
He could have picked a way worse champion.
He could have picked like
Zed support or something.
What about Yumi?
Yumi, exactly. And then he's like, "No, you're gonna pick Shaco." And then Pablo's like, "Bet, I'm gonna fucking Smurf on Shaco," and that's all he's been doing.
And then I was so excited because I was like, "Bro, we can prepare for Shaco support." And then I look at his match history and I'm just like,
you realize there's no preparing.
I'm like,
yeah, there's no.
I was like,
Peanut has bad memories of playing against Shaco.
Oh god, it's not gonna be fun.
But and the best part about this is when we beat you guys, Painless can only play Shaco for the rest of the season.
Dude, oh god, we're getting rid of Painless if that's the case.
Shaco. Oh, can't play it. It's banned.
Oh, it's banned. Yeah, it's banned. Sorry, guys.
Yo, Painless, you better put your LFT right fucking down in the chat, buddy.
No, but
yeah.
Tommy, if Cyrus doesn't work out, we might be looking for.
Yikes!
Yo, I'm not
Cyrus-
okay.
Cyrus-
Okay, wait.
Cyrus-
I have a question.
Yeah.
What happened with Sam Wallace? Did he leave or was he kicked? What happened with that?
We'll finish up. We got one more game to talk about.
Yeah,
then I'll
Okay,
get
all
one more
right,
game.
okay,
Yeah,
all right, fair
So-
enough.
Yep. The
So we
last
don't get too
notable
sidetracked.
off-stream game I want to talk about is Lighthouse versus Fight Club. We kind of
Big Dub Baby Fight Club.
Yeah, we hinted at it earlier, and Fight Club delivered. Like Lighthouse was 3-0. They were looking super strong. They were looking probably the top of their division, in the Baron division. And Fight Club came in there, whipped out their big dicks, and like, nah, you guys fucking suck.
And then lost their jungler.
And then lost their shot.
And then the jungler said, "I did
Literally-
my deed later."
Literally, Sat came in this week, 2-0 for Fight Club, and then bailed for PSB.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
I respect
but
the hustle.
here's the thing. I feel like anybody would do that if they get the opportunity. Like, okay,
Probably.
okay, I don't want to say anybody. Anybody in his position would do that. Like, you're on a team that has an infamous stigma around them, right? And then, the 2-time champions need a jungler. Might as well just slide over, see if they want to pick me. Like, if I was,
Two-time champions who've now lost 2 games though.
but yeah, but also it's like, you know what it's like. Like when you have that pawn sacrifice like over your head, like it's sort of like a.
And
Like
the
a-
problem is it a good boost or is it a TSM curse? Right.
True.
That's why I was talking on the
think-
tower dive, and like I don't know if this is an upgrade or a downgrade, because like Sheer arguably being the best jungler in the league like last season. I don't know, this season we haven't seen enough games.
How much was it? Totemax though. You have to ask.
That's the thing. Like the Sheer and Totemax combo was like
so hard to deal with.
you can't like every 40 seconds you're getting
It was a
ganked.
nightmare.
Like
Yeah, I
I
know.
still remember every time playing against Azir, like if I stepped halfway into mid lane, I got shuffled into Sheer. Like I can't do anything about that. But now we see Sheer going back to top lane. That's arguably his main role, even though he's been playing jungle for a year. I don't
Who would do
know.
that?
I don't know much about legit Sack. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with like what PSB is expecting. But you know, back to the
what
game.
about Zooey? Like
Zooey, I don't know what happened. I know some drama happened with Ali, causing him to just like rage quit pawn sacrifice. They lost the semifinals in PRL,
Yes.
and then
yes.
he just straight
oh really?
yeah he
They just
dipped.
fall out.
But I don't know what happened with Zooey, but I guess
Yeah.
shit
And I mean,
happens,
maybe
so.
Zooey will find a spot as a mid laner. I mean, Phoenix.
I think
you
he
know,
should. He's really fucking good.
He's a very talented mid laner. I
He's
mean,
a
up there with
really
like
fucking good.
up there with the other, free agents like people like Kakari, things like that. Have shown success in the league. Sometimes questionable, but
I don't think
Phoenix,
he's allowed to
was
play.
a staple mid laner in the league, was a strong player, and now is without a team early in the season.
I think he's still
I
sub
mean-
for PSB though.
He's still a sub, but I mean, with players like Tate who are legacy pawn sacrifice guys who's trying to get his third win in a third role, as if he was the carry in those teams, but nevertheless, I'm just saying, does the win count if you get subbed out for playoffs for a better top laner?
Yeah,
Debate.
I think you need to say even if or no, you should say he's a legacy player even though he's not a starter. That'd probably be a little bit better to say.
I'm just saying nobody was excited to see Tate coming back in the lineup, but people are excited to see me back as a starter.
True.
Hot take. Okay.
But
Hot
moving on to
take.
that, we can talk a bit about the Eclipse
Yes.
shuffle.
We
Obviously,
can talk about Eclipse.
big roster changes already in week 2. I got a message last week after the game, or actually before the games, actually, from Cuddle, who's effectively the coach of Eclipse now. He's a bit more hands on, and he's like, "Look, I've been watching you play a lot with Zillion and duo queue. People know I do it with him for years, and I want to put you back in the bot lane. We're gonna slide Cyrus up to middle." Move Sam Wallace to a less, direct role as a sub. Obviously, he decided to move on and posted for free agency. But, Cyrus is a mid laner by trade. He's played with Cuddles before. I obviously have a lot of experience playing with Daddy Zillion. Anyone who's been around for a couple of years knows the active rush bot lane, probably the best from season 4 duo. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to play again. Back in my, main role. I did spend most of PRL playing ADC as well. So, I mean, I am fresh playing ADC, and I'm looking forward to playing with my best guy.
And
Nice.
not only that, like in PRL, you were up against a load of teams that were very difficult for us, a lot higher in caliber than in duo, I'd say personally. and you performed exceptionally well. You and Kiri had unbeatable record, and I can't imagine how much better you would be with Daddy Zillion. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the Active Rush
I remember.
legacy, so to
I
speak.
remember.
I guess.
That was
It was
powerful
disgusting,
team.
dude. There was not a
Yeah.
single bot lane that could do
We were
anything.
smacking around teams to the point where certain trademark picks got banned that I'm not going to mention. We'll see if I get them in duo or if teams don't want to challenge it. But with the current meta, I mean, there's a lot of other priority bans, so we'll probably be seeing some legacy picks coming through this weekend. I mean, our matches aren't easy. I think we have Fight Club and is it Lighthouse or
that sounds
I'm
about right.
I'm not sure. I think it's Fight Club and Lighthouse, so it's like not easy games this weekend, right? Especially with Fight Club coming off a very big win.
I mean, but they have a new jungler that we don't know of yet.
They're
So
working with a new jungler. It is Fight Club after all. Maybe they'll have an EQ storm where their jungler leaves and then they just lose every game for the rest of the split.
their mid laner gets grounded, and yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I'm just looking forward to getting to play again because people know I'm a competitive person. I like being very hands-on. I'm getting the opportunity to be very hands-on with this team right now. So if you see bad drafts, you can flame me. If you see bad decisions, it's probably me. But I mean, I'll take responsibility. I mean, I'm gonna be a primary shot caller like I usually am. I'm gonna be doing drafting work for the team, and I'm gonna be playing starting AD carry. So
Hey,
there's
that's
a lot,
why like
there's a lot of pressure and a lot of trust being placed in me right now to perform, and I'm just hoping to be able to do that.
that's I want to give you credit where credit's due. Like that was probably my favorite part about teaming with you last season was you were very like you were vocal, sometimes too vocal, but like you would tell us what to do, and like sometimes teams need that, it's like you need someone to tell you like go the fuck in or we're gonna lose, and like if you don't have that person to pull the trigger, like sometimes there's like shit doesn't work out, and like you're aggressive, you're very vocal, you're very like
sometimes overly critical.
Yeah, which is fair, but I mean like sometimes you need that, and I think you will perform. I don't think the 80 carries in your division are like superstars.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at too many of the rosters, but I mean, realistically, I feel very comfortable saying me and Shrimp are probably the two best 80 carries in the league right now.
I think that's fair.
I don't think many people will question that know me as a player or have seen me play.
Yep.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, we don't play them until quite a few weeks away.
Week
We'll
7.
see how Eclipse is doing by then. Maybe we'll be on a win streak. Maybe we'll be 50-50. Who really knows right now? And
I have a comment.
We have a lot of interesting things.
This is total like outside the realm of what we're talking about. But since we're talking about EQE, okay, so quick timeline. All right, PSW disbands. Everyone goes their own ways. EQE renames to Solar Eclipse, and Sam Wallace isn't on the team, and instead Hard Only for Bard is now their mid laner. I cannot tell you how frustrated I was that I was a better mid laner than Sam Wallace. He's not playing for the team, and then they replace the mid lane with their support. And I'm like, hello?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm right
I think
here.
that comes down to like, I mean, obviously I wasn't involved that much with Solar Phoenix. Like,
Well, yeah,
I got
I
brought
know,
into pretty late in the off season before PRL.
This is more Big Black
with
Rainbow's
Cuddle.
head ass.
And
but
I mean, Rainbows and Cuddle.
Hold on.
Obviously, Cuddle wasn't allowed to play in PRL because of his rank restrictions and things like that. And then now Bard is obviously playing top lane, which is different as well. I mean, it's certainly something. I think top laners are the hardest role to find, but I think when you have a really good top laner to coach and help improve your top laner, it helps a lot. I think Cuddle's a really good player and a really good mind for the game, and I'm hoping he can help kind of coach Bard along in learning maybe the Urgot ways. Teach him. Yes, welcome to the Church of Urgot, where we can build Death's Dance and never die. And also, I'll get you a bot lane that is 16-2 historically in GPCS.
Bro, relax.
Listen, dude, you gotta ride on your titles until it doesn't work anymore.
I feel
until they rust.
Yeah, all I could say is like I'm scared for other teams because I know how good Daddy Zealand is because I've seen him play. I know how good Villain is because he played on our team. I know how good Bard is because he has Cuddle coaching him. And the only really question mark for the Solar Eclipse team may be Luke, or better known as Blue's Lane Blame Jungle. He statistically is our lowest ranking member, and he plays very similarly to our
Chong, yeah.
to Chong,
Or
and
Condom.
Condiment in that case, and it has clear weaknesses. And but if the bot lane is obviously head, top lane is say even, and then you have a mid laner, Cyrus, who is mid laner by trade, very successful at that role. I think that'll kind of overshadow the jungle difference that may or may not happen. So I'm scared for other teams, but also very excited to see how this change impacts the team as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, historically, I'm used to playing with weak junglers between Mel Scout and Gimpy, so we can draft around it.
Oh my god! The flame
You
this episode is
Don't-
so good.
Don't do
Yeah, it's
that
me,
to
dude.
my boy Mel, dude.
No, I don't mean any disrespect for Mel. He's a good jungler, but I
Yo,
mean,
is he still a heart stuck
his
plat 4?
champions are
Dude, he's
weak side.
D4.
No, I think he's still
Yeah,
plat
no,
4.
he's a diamond player.
He's
Yeah,
D4.
I know.
Diamond. But I mean, listen. D4 can go anywhere from 50 LP back down to P4 in a week. Like, all it
True.
takes is one bad spree. Trust me. Everyone's been there. But no. I mean, I think having someone I like to think I'm rather knowledgeable about drafting and picking champions, and if the team's willing to trust me, I'm willing to take control, and hopefully we can start turning this thing around.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple other things I want to mention is standings. So we've been hinting at it. We talked about the 2 divisions, but we actually haven't formally announced the actual standings because Shino's, I think, still late on his actual announcement in the server.
No, it's
But-
out. It's out.
Oh, it is that?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
out.
my apologies.
That's where I've been stealing information from.
True. So the top of the divisions for IBSG is Pawn Sacrifice Blue, followed by Pawn Sacrifice Red. In Dragon, you have Solar Phoenix, you have MG Waves, and then in Baron, you have Stunned and Lighthouse Titans. All 2 of the GPCS and the IBSG, I think, are a lot closer than what we've expected, especially in the showcase match. But with that being said, I do want to throw out this one interesting fact that Shino himself has given me. This season, Pawn Sacrifice Black is currently in the lowest position in standings that they have ever been in duo, and that is currently at 5th, sitting at a very even 1-1.
Okay, that's like.
Mhm.
It's true.
I thought they lost 2 games.
No, they lost one.
Just
They've only
one?
played 2. But
How do you only play 2 games in 2 weeks? What?
dude, I don't know, but
schedule this year.
There's a big
Like,
asterisk
you got
next to
3
that.
game weeks. You got 1 game
bro,
weeks.
that's why
what's
like
going on?
I look at IBSG and Pawn Sacrifice Blue has like 6 games done already.
Yeah,
I'm like
Crow is 2 and 3, and then you see Pawn Sacrifice at 1 and 1. I'm like, who figured this out?
I looked when the schedule first came out. I was going through it with Sheer. Like the first week I had 2 games, then I had 1, and then it's like I have 3, then I have 1, and like he was like, bro, I don't have any for 2 weeks, and I'm like,
plan for 2 off-stream games or 2 games for each team every week to keep it consistent. Then you're not playing these 3-game weekends where you're trying to figure out 2 different off-stream schedules. You got one on stream. You gotta scout. You gotta prepare draft. You gotta scrim at some point during the week.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to actually compete. And yeah, I mean.
but like I was
should be
saying, like
exciting.
it's true. Yeah, they're in 5th place, 1-1, but it's the second week. They
They also lost
2 games.
1 game last year. So
Okay,
let's
but with a obviously better roster.
let's wait till they lose 2 games to start talking about the fall of Pawn Sacrifice, right? Like,
So I'm not saying they're falling. I will say that there is a very big asterisk next to that like fun
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
so to speak. But Shino did mention that to me, and it's no discredit to Pawn Sacrifice because they've only played 2 games. Like even if you're 2-0, you're still what 4th in the division, I think.
They're 5th.
win percentage or 2. But
Yeah, actually, you'd still be 5th. So just that fact is only contributed
it's very
or
misleading.
only like fair because they've only played 2 games. But regarding the rest of the standings, I don't want to focus too much time on that because we probably are running quite low. But is there anyone that really has surprised us so far, do we think?
MG Waves.
MG Waves looks really good. I think
Okay.
I'd argue Primal Radiance as well looks a lot better in practice than they did on paper at the start of the year.
True.
Like just because of the divisional split, like I feel like I was really worried about Primal Radiance. Like I know a lot of these guys, they're really good, but like Crow looked really good preseason. They got Solar Phoenix on Sacrifice and MG Waves. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be tough. And then I see like they're beating these teams. I'm like, all right, they're fine. Like,
Yeah.
You know what? Peanut and Tommy are reliable. Coconuts is a better support than people give her credit for. And I mean, they have a pretty decent coach who's pretty smart about the game, although very assertive on his opinions about Tota Gaps. But
Dude, he's so
he's a very enjoyable guy to talk to.
Nuffies is a character, to say the least.
Yeah,
He has his ways, and then like we'll go into practice one night. He'll join the call and be like, "Yo, how do you feel about Zach Top?" And we're like, "No." And then he's like, "Bro, it's like so good." And we're like,
yeah. Listen, as someone who's played Pokemon with him, you should see some of the crazy shit he comes up with. Dude, Diggersby though is the best Pokemon in the current meta.
Dude, he had him and Painless. They like in the middle of like a scrim, he'll be like, "Yo, we should have just played Diggersby here." Like, just like.
Yo, then I'm excited for tonight because we got one lined up, Tommy.
Oh my god.
Our scrim bailed, so it looks like we got some Eclipse Primal Radiance tonight.
We're already scrimming tonight. We're scrimming Fight Club.
That's not what I heard.
Oh really? Are we scrimming you guys?
I just got a ping earlier that says our scrim bailed, so we're going against you guys tonight.
Oh, that's what your message was.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can check that after this recording.
We'll verify that after this, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. True.
Interesting.
So first man is Zier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to. Yo, I'm still getting LeBlanc banned. I haven't played that since week 3 of season 6.
Surprising.
So,
Like, not that your LeBlanc's bad, but like you haven't had to show it.
I haven't had to because it's banned, and then
we didn't pick it. So it's like
you look at my OPGG. She's the only champion that I have a 60% win rate on, but it's like that was literally after I went 1-9 in my placements, started in silver 3, and used it to climb out of silver. Like,
Hog silver. Yeah.
Pick like Manatsu's Kassadin, where we see Kassadin banning at Solar Phoenix almost every game, but they've never actually played it because it's Kassadin. And it's, high win rate Kassadin? Nope. And I mean, I do the same thing in draft. You ban one tricks, you look at high win rates in meta champions, like there's a method to the madness.
Okay, if you one trick a meta champion, that's when it's banned 100%. But like if you have a 70,
if you just
like
if you're a 70% win rate ribbon, I'm banning that. I'm sorry. If you're not 80% win rate Rengar, that's getting the hell out of here. Like if you're a 60% win rate, like non-meta player, but that champion can take over a game, things like Rengar, things like Rek'Sai, and you have more than like 50 games played, it should be at least a target for bans, right? Because in this current meta, you're looking at on red side, you have to ban Caitlyn, and on blue side, you get 3 target bans because you don't have to ban meta. You have there's no like must pick champion after Caitlyn, right? You're like, okay, we can settle for Morgana,
unless you're in China,
Ash
then
Bomb.
you're playing Renekton. But
if you're in China, you're blue 1 Renekton or R5 Renekton, and I do love me some memes out of that. But I mean, shout out to Top Esports, Knight, best mid laner in the world, possibly.
Dude,
I want
that
to see some
series was banger, dude. Oh my god.
My prediction for Worlds is probably Top versus Damwon Gaming. If Damwon is in form, because I think Damwon is probably the best team in the world when they are playing on form. Showmaker is fucking insane, for lack of a better term. Like, pardon my French, but
we're actually running low on time. We're a little over an hour already.
Yes.
So how about we start wrapping things up? We can start going over the possible the poll for our next week's special guest.
Yes. So last thing that we're going to announce before we say our goodbyes and our last bits of Thingy Bomber Bombers is the poll. So like we mentioned last week, we are going to be holding another poll of standout performers that the community can vote on to see who gets on our show, just like how Potato Fist was on earlier. And those players are Jadway from Solar Phoenix, top laner. Easy Game, Easy Life, top laner for Stun. Eddie, I think whatever, Eddie. Mid laner for Crow. We have Okina or I Snort Crayons on here again for ADC Pawn Sacrifice Blue. Very strong back-to-back weeks for him. And then you have a new.
You were already on. Shut up.
Bring me back, dude. That's be too old this weekend.
You have Solis. I'm
Solus,
I think. I'm sorry if
Is it the EOUS?
Primal Radiance top laner.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's actually 2 Soluses. There's SOULUOS and SOULEOS.
Yes,
there's 2 Soluses.
Your top laner though is the one he's talking about.
No, he's talking about the other one.
I'm talking about the mid laner for Glacial Academy. Actually,
It wasn't intentional, but
those are your 5 players you have to vote for. As a reminder, that poll will be out until I will give it Sunday night.
Sunday night,
Yeah.
after week 2, or I'm sorry, week 3. After week 3 is concluded. So yeah, we do vote those. We do get in contact, and then we have them come on after and talk about the games and the Discord server. So this has been The Flank, episode 2. I'm Tommy2Time. This is Big Black Rainbows and Villain in Glasses, our special guest number 2 for this week. Tune in to Duo Esports, twitch.tv/Duo Esports, Friday night, 7 p.m., Saturday night, 7 p.m. EST, where you can catch some live gameplays, talk and chat, get to know the community. Be sure to like, subscribe, join the Discord server if you haven't already. And yeah, this has been The Flank. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
See you, Potato Fist.